So I got a request by 99 Splashing here on YouTube to help them with their band music. And it's a piece called Dragon by a composer named Z Long. And I don't know if Dragon is the name of the whole piece or if it's just part of a larger work. I've tried to find something about this piece or this composer online, and the only thing that I could come up with that was related to Dragon and Z Long had to do with Dragon Ball Z, and I don't think that that has anything to do with this. So I'm not exactly sure what you wanted to see, but I thought what I would do is to do this like I would do a lesson. So I'm going to break the music down into sections and then talk about some things in those sections and play through it. And I'm also going to turn the camera towards the music. So that way you can see what I'm talking about, you can see markings that I've made, and you can follow along as I play. I figured that would probably be a little more helpful than just standing here and watching me the whole time. So let me reposition the camera and we'll get started. Okay, so here we have the music, and for right now I'm going to be looking at the section starting from the beginning to letter A, because after letter A it changes. So this section is pretty straightforward. We do have a few instances of some pitch bending, like right here, and then again right here. And it says in the music, pitch bend down. So you want to do that by rolling the flute in, and you want to make sure that you do it as steady as you possibly can. And you also want to make sure that you do it for the full count of the note. So say there in measure 2, there is a whole note, so you want to make sure that you are bending that pitch for the full 4 counts, and that you're doing it as steady as you can. This section is marked quarter note equals 76, so it's kind of slow. And I'm going to play it now, and I have my metronome here set at 76, and I also have it set so that it plays a different tone on count 1, so hopefully that'll be easier to keep track of. Two, three, four. One, two, three, four. And then the tempo picks up there at letter A. Okay, let's take a look at the next section. Now this is from letter B to letter C. So now we are at quarter note equals 160, which is a little more than twice as fast as the starting tempo was. And when you practice this, I'm going to suggest that you practice it not at 160, because most likely you will crash and burn and get frustrated. So what I would suggest to do is to start about half that speed. Start around 80 or even 100 beats per minute, and then work your way up from there. And what I did was I started around 120, and I played through it several times until I was comfortable at that tempo. And then I bumped my metronome up by 10 clicks, and I did that each time. I played through that tempo until I was comfortable with it, bumped it up 10 clicks, and kept practicing that way until I was able to play it at 160. And I would suggest that you do it that way. If you can't play it slow, you can't play it fast. That's a good thing to remember when you practice. So besides the tempo, I think one of the biggest challenges of this section is all of the accidentals. So you can see there in measure 24B right here, and then the next measure, there's some accidentals there. We have B naturals, and we have D flats, we even have some G flats, and some E naturals in the next measure. So those things can be kind of tricky, especially when it's at such a fast tempo. Also, I would take the time to work on getting from this measure to this measure, because it can be sometimes challenging to transition from playing something like eighth notes in this register, in one register, and then jump down and start playing notes faster. So what I like to do is just kind of play count 3 and 4 from this measure and work on getting into the next measure. And just work on that, play it several times until you get comfortable with it, and then put it together. And that generally irons those kinds of problems out relatively quickly. Now in the next line, I have here marked TH, which is my little signal to use thumb B flat. And I would suggest using that there if you can. If you're able to slide your thumb over right here in this figure so that you will be using thumb B flat for this, I would suggest that, because it can just be a little cumbersome to use your regular B flat fingering when you have to play a figure like this that's fast and you come back to your B flat. It's much easier to use thumb B flat in those instances. And then also in the next measure, this measure right here, I have this, this is my my little breath mark symbol, and I would breathe after count 1 here, and I think that should get you through the end of this measure here. So I'm going to play through this now, and I'm going to play through it at 120, just so you can hear it slowly, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to play it at tempo, which was 160. So I have my metronome here, and it is set to 120. Okay, so that was at 120. Now let me turn my metronome up to 160 and we will play it at tempo so you can hear how fast this goes. Okay. Okay, this section from C to the end, this is another pretty straightforward section. Something to watch out for are the accidentals. You can see that I've had to draw in a natural here and here. It's changed. In the previous section we had a lot of G flats, a lot of D flats, and now we're back to the original key signature of just 3 flats. And a lot of times in music you'll see they'll give you some courtesy accidentals so that you don't make those mistakes anymore, but they didn't do that here. So I had to write in my my accidentals because I kept making those mistakes and playing the G flats and the D flats and stuff. And then another thing to pay attention to, like in this measure and this measure right here, the pattern changes just a little bit. So like here we have C, E flat, G, you know, your standard arpeggio. But here we have a leap from C to F natural, and you can see that I marked that with this little bracket here. That just reminds me that the pattern is a little bit different. So be sure not to skip over that. Now I'm going to play this section, and I'm going to play it at 120 again, and then I will bump the tempo up to 160 so you can hear what that sounds like. Sorry, let me put my metronome up here. Okay, there we go. All right. Alrighty, so we have the last section here, and it looks like it might actually go on to some other pages, but I only have these couple of pages. So something to pay attention to in this section are the dynamics and the accents. And I really think that those couple of things are what's going to make this section a little more interesting. There's dynamic markings all over the page. There's also tons of accents. Some of them are on the beats, some of them are on the off beats, and it's important to bring those out. It's also really important to count and know where each note goes within the measure, especially right there through section E, at letter E. Sometimes you're playing on the beat, sometimes you're playing on the off beat, and that can get a little tricky sometimes, and that's why it's so important to, one, write in your counts there. You can see that I have written in each count, and I hope you can see that, and I hope that's helpful. Write in your counts, and also play with the metronome and play slowly. When you're playing something that's going to be this fast, it's really important to be confident and very sure about where each note goes so you don't fall behind. Also, pay attention to, where is it? Oh, right here at measure 63. The time signature changes. So now it's in 3/4, and then it goes back to 4/4 right here at 65, and then back to 3/4 again here at letter F. And when I play through this, it's going to get off with the metronome because I have my metronome set in 4/4. So I will try my best to count through those rests after I get through that first 3/4 measure there. And then one more thing that I wanted to mention is that right here in measure 70, I have a breath mark right there after the dotted half note. And I did that right there because I really see and hear this 16th note figure as being part of this group right here at letter F. I really feel like this is a pickup into this measure, and it belongs with this. So I would breathe right there after that dotted half note. And I think that you should probably be able to make it through the end of this section here with that breath. If not, you could probably breathe right here after that dotted half note. Okay, so I'm going to play through this now, and I'm going to play through it at 120. Okay, now I'm going to bump it up to 160, and we will see what that sounds like. Okay. Okay, so now that I've gone through that kind of bit by bit, I'm going to go back and play the Allegro 160 section straight through so that you can hear what it sounds like. And I'm going to leave out any large chunks of rest just to save some time. Okay, so this is at 160. So there you have it, 99 splashing. I really hope this was helpful for you. And thank you for sending this to me. This was really fun to do. If anybody else has any music that they need some help with or want to see me play, please feel free to send it to me. Also, if you have any requests of some songs that you would want to see me do, or pieces, or anything, feel free to send me a message or leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear them. And don't forget to subscribe so you can see when these videos come out. And follow me on Instagram because I post there all the time. So until the next one, see ya. Bye.